They gave that much money to the terrorists, to our enemies. And by the way, our enemies aren't even nice to us. Now they're emboldened. You see the little boats going around our beautiful ships, doing all sorts of little things to drive our people crazy. Folks, they're not going to do that stuff when I'm president, I guarantee you. You see the way they captured our 10 sailors because they were a little bit in the wrong waters? And instead of saying nicely, hey, listen, you got to be over there a little bit, they humiliated the sailors, humiliated their families, and humiliated our country, right? And the only reason they let them go is that our payments of $150 billion started the next day. So stupid they're not. And when they flew right alongside of our planes the other day. You saw that? They're jet fighters, right? You saw that? And when Putin is buzzing, you know, Hillary's tough with Russia. You ever notice anything that goes wrong, they blame Russia? Well, Russia did it. They have no idea. We're being hacked because we have people that don't know what they're doing. They have people, but they always blame Russia. And then they say, Donald Trump is friends with Putin. I don't know Putin, folks, I promise. I don't know Putin. What the hell do I have to do with Putin? These people are professional con people. They're con. And this country can't have it. This country can't have it. And by the way, Russia, which is buzzing our ships, right? You know, tough Hillary, tough Obama, they're buzzing. You saw that 2 weeks ago, buzzing planes going by. They took over. Yeah, they took over. You look at Ukraine. They took over that was Crimea. They took that over during Obama's reign. You know, tough Obama. He's so tough. He's so tough. So look, we need competence, and we need it fast. Hillary Clinton, who turned Libya into a nightmare. Now, how about Libya? How about Benghazi? How about Benghazi, where Ambassador Stevens sent 600 different foreign messages to Hillary Clinton, and she didn't even respond. The only one she spoke to was that sleaze, Sidney Blumenthal, her friend, who Obama told her you cannot deal with, and she did behind Obama's back. A Trump administration will stop the reckless interventions and instead focus on defeating and totally destroying ISIS. We're also going to build up our cyber defenses. Cyber is a big thing. And keep our power grid and our vital infrastructure modern and safe. And the word keep is an incorrect word because we have to rebuild it. It's a mess. So old, it's falling apart. And we're going to use cyber offense to disrupt the enemy where we need to and keep them from recruiting online. ISIS is taking our children and taking our kids out of our country because they're using the internet better than we know how to use it. And we're the ones that came up with it. At the same time, we're going to completely rebuild our very depleted military. We're going to take care of our people. And that includes building state-of-the-art systems of all kinds. When it comes to keeping America safe, I believe in three very important words. Peace through strength. We don't want to use the military, but it's got to be there. And just in closing, to be strong, our country has to be rich again. We're a debtor nation. We're poor. I'm going to make America rich again. My enemy, our enemies are unbelievable. They love what's happening to our country. They love it. Our energy proposals will unlock the $50 trillion in energy reserves right here in America under our feet. This means new jobs in Florida and many, many other communities. Pennsylvania, Ohio, we're going to take care of our miners. We're going to take care of our steel workers. We're going to take care of natural gas. We're going to have clean coal. We're going to also have all forms of advanced energy. We also have to repeal and replace, and we will do this, and it's so important because it's driving everybody and small businesses and big businesses and our country out of business. Repeal and replace Obamacare. Bill Clinton, in a rare moment of truth-telling, said last week Obamacare was a crazy system where people wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. What kind of a system is this? Oh, did he suffer that evening? He went home. Poor Bill. He suffered. You see, the next day he came back and he said he was only kidding. He was only kidding. It's a disaster. Obamacare. You know, your rates are going up 68%. In Texas, they had 71%. In other communities, they're going to go 95 and 100%. And next year's going to be worse. We have no choice but to absolutely repeal, replace Obamacare, and we're going to come up with a much better plan for much less money. As you know also, most counties in the state will only have one insurer to choose from. Obama does that because that way they have a monopoly so they can charge you whatever the hell they want. This is our chance to stop the abusive and horrible and something that doesn't work, Obamacare, and save American health care. But you have to get out and vote. At the center of our economic revival will be fixing our terrible trade deals. When I announced, seems like a long time now, June 16th, coming down with Melania, the escalator, remember, in Trump Tower. It was an amazing thing. And we announced that it was a big part. And then I came out and I said, Florida and our countries, we have all of these lost jobs, all of our lost manufacturing. We're going to get it back. We're bringing our jobs back. When countries come in and think they're going to steal our companies, and our companies are going to go out and fire all of their employees in Florida, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, in all of these countries, all of these, everyone, we are not going to allow it to happen. We are not going to allow it. We are going to tell it, you are going to have consequences. The states are not going to put up with it anymore. Our federal government is going to help. We've built other countries at our expense. We have. So if they come in like they did in Indiana, where Mike Pence, by the way, is doing a great job. It's great. And they take Mexico takes Carrier Air Conditioning, and they fire their 1,400 people who were so great to me. And they think they're going to make air conditioners in their beautiful new plant in Mexico and sell them across the border and make lots of money, and we have all the unemployment. Not going to happen. We're going to put a 35% tax on, and they're staying in the United States. And if they don't, we're going to make plenty of money. We are going to rebuild our country. Our country is going to be a country where you can be proud of again. We're going to use American steel. We're going to use American labor. We are going to come first in all deals. We're not going to make the trade deal where we come in 5th and 6th and 7th and other countries laugh at our stupidity. We are going to build great companies. We are going to expand companies that are now doing poorly. We are going to make our country very rich again. We are going to make our country very safe again. We are going to make America strong again. And we are going to make America great again. God bless you, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, well, that was Donald Trump. He is back. Just wrapping up a rally in Ocala, Florida, where he delivered a blistering attack on Hillary Clinton, finally turning the cannons back to her. Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Francis in America's election headquarters. It was a wide-ranging speech where he also went after other Republicans and the media, also talking about cybersecurity and jobs, but he hit on so many of those themes that we heard in the beginning, going back to the idea of the big wall with the door in it, talking about the red line in Syria. Clinton denied that she was part of that. He said she was there when it was drawn. He mentioned that at least 3 times, really hitting all of those notes. Senior national correspondent John Roberts is live. John, can you even hear me with all the cheering going on there?
Yes, I can't hear you. I got to tell you, first of all, Melissa, the size of the crowd here at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion in Ocala was huge. Probably 7,000 or 8,000 people in the pavilion itself, and an equal number outside, either watching in from the fence or online, still waiting to get in. Far more people waiting for this event than could have gotten in. So Donald Trump continues to draw a huge crowd here, having a field day, really, with all of the information that we've seen in the last few days coming out of WikiLeaks, in particular, the revealed connections and communications between the Department of Justice and the Clinton campaign over the email scandal. Listen to what Trump said.
The Department of Justice fed information, think of this, to the Clinton campaign about the email investigation so that the campaign could be prepared to cover up her crimes. Now, did you ever hear anything like this?
And on the stump, in a new ad, the Trump campaign going hard after the Clinton Foundation, what Trump has called on the trail pay to play, and that is that people who donate to the foundation get access to government. Taking a look at one of the new emails revealed in the WikiLeaks leak, that friends of Bill Clinton got preferential access to the rebuilding contracts in Haiti. Here's a part of that ad.
Pay-to-play politics. Staggering amounts of cash poured into the Clinton Foundation from criminals, dictators, countries that hate America. Hillary cut deals for donors, sold out American workers, exploited Haitians in need. She even handed over American uranium rights to the Russians. Hillary Clinton only cares about power, money, and herself.
And clearly, all the people here at this rally couldn't give a lick about what happened over the weekend with the controversy surrounding that hot mic accident, that hot mic incident 11 years ago. But Donald Trump saying that he believes that even though Paul Ryan has said that he wasn't going to support him, he could have at the very least called him up after his debate performance and said, "Good job." Melissa?
All right. Well, folks have been supporters calling on him to turn his fire back to Hillary Clinton, very much seeming to do that there and hitting her with both barrels. John Roberts, thank you so much. Early voting underway in Ohio. We have a live report from the GOP chairman on what they are seeing in that battleground state, and a plane plunges to the ground. One person is dead. Have you seen this? Now, federal authorities say early indications are that this crash was intentional. The latest on the FBI investigation next. Today in Ohio and Arizona, they join 13 other states that will allow voters to cast their ballots early. Because of those early ballots, we may soon get an idea which way those states are leaning. Shannon Bream joins us live from Washington. Welcome, Shannon. There are some key states starting early voting today. What difference could this make in the ultimate results on November 8th? A lot, I'm betting.
Yes, and get this, some states started weeks ago in September, but today, as you mentioned, Arizona, Indiana, and Ohio now joining the growing list of states that allow early, in-person, no excuse needed, absentee voting. And here's why it could really matter. In Ohio, back in 2012, nearly a third of all votes were cast before Election Day. It looks like that trend is going to hold this year or maybe even be exceeded. That early turnout in 2012 was a huge benefit to President Obama. State party officials say Mitt Romney actually won the Ohio vote on Election Day, but Democrats had such a strong early turnout that Romney simply could not catch up. That has pushed the GOP in Ohio to focus more on getting people registered and voting early. A recent analysis of absentee ballot returns shows Republicans are lagging behind Democrats there, but by much less than usual. Melissa, this campaign has had so many twists and turns. It's hard to know when voters will decide, I've seen enough, I'm not waiting for the next shoe to drop, and I'm ready to commit.
I know. It really changes the dynamic of the election. It's so interesting to know where that's going on and where it's not, and it gives us so much insight. Fox also wants to hear from viewers about their votes, and I know that you're going to be keeping an eye on social media. So what are you seeing so far?
Well, you know, people have been voting for weeks in places like Idaho, Minnesota, California. These are some pictures now from Iowa and Nebraska, I believe. I mean, the places are packed already. So we've been asking where it is legal for you to do so. Send us some selfies or pictures of you in the voting process. Could just be you with your I voted sticker. Maybe you're packing up your kids, taking them so they can be part of the process. We sent out the call today, and here's one of the pictures we got. This is a tweet from Kathy, who lives in Italy. This is her mail-in ballot. She's sending it all the way from Italy. She said, listen, quote, I voted for the candidate that I hate the least. I paid 11 euros to get this mail back to the U.S. We love hearing your story. So if you want to be part of our reporting leading up to the big day and part of our election night wall-to-wall coverage, it's all going to be live. Send us your legal pics. Use the hashtag Fox News 2016. Melissa,
good for her. That's commitment. She got it. She had to really pay up to get it here. She wants it here on time. Shannon, I love it. Thank you. I can't wait to see everybody else who sends us their pictures and their thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
All right, joining me now, someone at the center of all of it, the Ohio State Republican Chairman Matt Borges, who has spoken to Mr. Trump at least 3 times since Sunday. What were those conversations like? First of all, what did you ask him?
Hi, Melissa. We've had several conversations over the last few days. There's been a lot going on in this campaign. And candidly, I had a lot of questions. I wasn't hearing a lot from other folks. And so I picked up the phone and called Mr. Trump on Sunday. And we started a series of conversations that culminated with a very good one today as he was getting ready to head over to the event that you guys just carried.
I need more color on this. Do you have like his cell phone number on speed dial and you're calling him and he's picking up? I mean, how does this work exactly?
I really try not to bother him if at all possible, but I thought on Sunday, given a lot of the things that had gone on Friday and then all day Saturday was just kind of a feeding frenzy of different rumors that were out there, including one that said that he might be dropping off the ticket. And so I called him myself to say, what's the story with this? Is there any validity to this whatsoever? Are you even considering it? And he said, absolutely not. We had a conversation about the remarks that had been out there, and I asked him if there was anything more. He said there would not be. And then I told him, go have the performance of your life in the debate tonight. We're going to need it. And he said he would. And then he said, I want to talk to you tomorrow after the debate to get a sense of how you feel then.
And so what was
when
that
I spoke with him on
like?
Monday, when I spoke with him on Monday, I said, sir, you're not the kind of person who shrinks in the biggest of moments. Obviously, he delivered and breathed life back into his campaign with that performance on Sunday night. So he had a very good debate performance.
Right.
And then we talked about a couple of other matters that were out there. There was another internet rumor that was starting to be spread that perhaps there was another tape out there. I asked him about it. He said absolutely not. And I'm taking him at his word. And so we're moving forward. And so he's going to be here in Ohio tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing him.
So did you talk to him again about this idea of shooting within the tent? I mean, this has been a lot of people's problem who support him in the last couple of days, is that he's on the attack against his own party instead of, as we just saw him just now, turning his cannons back to Hillary Clinton very decidedly. When you talked to him the third time, at any point did you say, could you please aim your cannon at Hillary Clinton again?
That was, in fact, the subject of our conversation, not only yesterday or Monday, but then again today, that we're voting in Ohio now. You just heard some of those statistics, and they're absolutely right. Mitt Romney did win Election Day, but when you lose in the early vote, sometimes it can be so much that you can't overcome it. So people who are voting now, thousands and thousands of people who are casting their votes now, today is essentially Election Day, and so is every day in Ohio until November 8th. And so we can't be wasting our time anymore talking about issues that don't help us win. We have to be focusing on why Donald Trump is better than Hillary Clinton to be president. And if he can press that message effectively, he's going to win.
Real quick, we got to go yes or no. Do you feel like he's back on track based on the speech you just heard? Did you hear it? He was just on?
I heard very little of it in my ear as I was getting on, but from what I heard, it sounded like he's definitely pressing a better message, a message that's going to help him actually carry this election and carry Ohio.
All right, sir, thank you for coming on. Come back next time you talk to him and tell us if it's any different. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Donald Trump going after Speaker Paul Ryan again, keeping what he calls disloyal Republicans in his sights. How will this strategy play out? A Fox News alert for you now on a shocking development in a high-profile crime. Police say a female detective investigating rape allegations against NBA star Derrick Rose was found dead of a gunshot wound in her home. Trace Gallagher is live with more on this story. Trace.
Hey, Melissa, the LAPD detective was found with a gunshot wound inside a home in Whittier, about 15 miles east of downtown LA. Sources tell the LA Times that 44-year-old detective Nadine Hernandez suffered a single gunshot wound, and at this point it's unclear if it was suicide or homicide. Her body was found inside the home of a relative who appears to be a former LA police officer. Detective Hernandez was part of the robbery homicide division and special assault. She was frequently involved in high-profile sex crime cases. Cases like the rape allegations against NBA star Derrick Rose. In fact, the only reason the media knew that Derrick Rose was being investigated by LAPD is because the woman who is suing Derrick Rose and two of his friends in civil court for rape wanted to remain anonymous, and Detective Nadine Hernandez wrote a letter on the woman's behalf saying that being able to offer anonymity to alleged rape victims is an invaluable investigative tool. Hernandez told the judge that LAPD would guard the woman's identity throughout the investigation. The accuser claims Derrick Rose and two of his friends raped her in 2013 at her apartment while she was incapacitated from drinking. She is seeking $21 million. Rose says the woman is setting him up. But when the alleged victim learned that Detective Hernandez had been shot and killed, she was in a courtroom at the time, and witnesses say she was visibly shaken by the news. Melissa.
Wow, what a story. Trump, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, new details emerging from WikiLeaks in the latest batch of hacked emails from the Clinton campaign. This time, Clinton staffers allegedly taking shots at Catholic and evangelical voters. The potential fallout, as Trump says he will talk with Catholic leaders today.
And she added in her email, their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals. It's extraordinary.
All right, Donald Trump going after House Speaker Paul Ryan again at the rally today after waging an all-out attack on Republican leaders yesterday for not supporting him. Trump calling them weak and ineffective. Today he complained the speaker could have at least congratulated him for his debate performance. This as his running mate warns that all Republicans beware the temptation of pride. This was earlier. Listen.
President Reagan warned in his day, a warning that people of faith might do well to reflect on today, that we should beware the temptation to blithely declare ourselves above it all and label both sides equally at fault.
Steve Hilton was is a senior advisor to former British Prime Minister David Cameron. Thank you so much for joining us today. We introduced it. He was hitting them again in that speech, but I would say, having listened to the whole thing, he turned the majority of his fire back to Hillary Clinton. When you saw Pence out there, he said, come on, you can't take a step back and say both sides are bad, that you have to get involved, that you have to take a stand on one way or the other. Do you think that they're doing a decent job of trying to turn the page today?
It's better than yesterday.
There's that, right?
It's that. Look, there's a fundamental truth, which is that united parties do better than divided ones. I hope they understand that.
Yeah.
And actually, if you look at the policy agenda in this election, there's so much that the GOP of all descriptions, all parts of the party can get behind. But it feels to me that there's just too much calculation going on and not enough conviction.
Okay, so let me ask you as an expert, because of course, as we said in the beginning, you worked for David Cameron. I know you from around here. You're a very reasonable and charming guy. If you got in there and you tried to negotiate a peace between these two sides today, what would you say to get everyone back on track? What would you say to Donald?
I would say, I'd say to all of them, let's just look at the real world consequences of what's going to happen in this election. There's only two outcomes, President Clinton or President Trump. And what's going to happen in the real world in those scenarios, particularly in the economy? And think about the difference that would be made if you had a Republican in the White House, Republicans controlling Congress, the reform agenda, the regulatory cuts, the tax cuts, the boost to our economy, the rise in incomes and living standards.
But the folks on the speaker's side would say, you know what, this guy's blowing himself up. I got to look out for myself. What do you say to them?
But you've got to win to get what you want through. How good is it going to be to control the House and hang on to it if you don't have the White House? What good is that going to do? How will that help Paul Ryan implement? Let's just say he's thinking about his own agenda, the policy platform he's got, the Better Way agenda. He's not going to be able to get that through President Clinton because she's got her own agenda.
Mike Pence putting a voice to what a lot of people out there are feeling. When I talk to them, they say, you know what, I can't watch another debate. This is killing me. I can't take it. And he said basically, you can't sit back and say, I'm above this. I'm better than this. Both of these people, both sides are at fault here. I'm going to tune out. There's too much at stake. What do you think about that? Is that true?
Well, I think that, it's clearly true that there's too much at stake. I don't know. I think that they shouldn't be so far apart. And I don't understand.
Well, no, in this case, I was talking about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That they're, for these two candidates, you can't just say they're both awful. Because a lot of people out there are like, they're both terrible people.
Yes.
I can't vote for anybody. You got to pick a side, no?
I completely agree. You've got to pick a side because real consequences flow from actual elections. And if you just say, well, I can't get involved because they're too awful, what you're really saying is that I'm okay with the current frontrunner, who we've got to face it, is Hillary Clinton. I'm okay with her winning. That's the consequence of not picking a side and not getting behind the Republican ticket. And I can't believe that any of the people in the GOP at any level really want that.
Steve Hilton, thank you so much. Always terrific. All right, the emails keep coming from WikiLeaks with new details emerging from the highest levels of the Clinton campaign. Now, a stunning new message from 2011 mocking Catholics and evangelical Christians. It was sent by the current communications director for the campaign, very high up. You've heard her name a lot, Jennifer Palmieri, saying in part, quote, think Roman Catholics is the most socially acceptable political conservative religion. Their rich friends won't understand if they became evangelicals. Joining me now is Tommy Lauren, host of Tommy on the Blaze TV. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host, and she is a Fox News contributor. Leslie, I got to tell you, so when I heard these comments, and there were a number more like this where they went on and they talked about, we'll show you another one, it is an amazing bastardization of the faith. This was part of the conversation. They must be, if you could scroll up a little, I could read the rest of it, that would be great. There we go. They must be attracted to, keep going, the systemic thought and severely backwards gender relations, and must be totally unaware of Christian democracy. I was listening to all of these things as a Catholic, and what struck me most was, on the left, this is a group of people that claim to be very tolerant, very welcoming, and what they're showing here is that they're intolerant of anyone's views who don't agree with them. How do you respond to that?
Well,
don't think one person who works for one person, even if she's running for president's opinion, is that of those on the left like myself. I don't share that opinion. I don't see anywhere that Hillary Clinton shares that opinion. A strong Methodist herself who started the first woman's Bible study, bipartisan in the Senate, and who picked a very staunch Catholic in Tim Kaine as her running mate. Look, I looked at this, Melissa, and, you know, I know my mom always said, don't write anything down you don't want the rest of the world to see. Wow. However, the reality is my employees, God knows what they write. I would hate to think I'm responsible for what they write. We're not the same people, and Jennifer's not running for president.
Okay, well, Tommy, let me make the case for why people might link what they're seeing in this email to Hillary Clinton, because you're right, she wasn't the one that actually wrote this. But what we've also learned in these emails is that she's willing on so many issues to present one face to the voters and to the public and a totally different face to other people, whether it's Goldman Sachs bankers who she's going to assure that she's going to keep their system intact, or whatever it is, that she's very duplicitous in terms of what she shows to the outside and says and what she actually believes. So that's why these things might rub people the wrong way in part. Tommy, what do you think?
Well, I believe that that is correct. And furthermore, I'm just wondering when we're going to get an apology from Hillary Clinton, or if she's going to condemn these emails, because we know that Donald Trump is asked to condemn someone every day. The mainstream media continues to talk about his tapes, continues to attack his character, assassinate his character and those associated with him. So I'm wondering, I'm waiting for Miss Clinton to go out on stage, and I'm waiting for her to condemn these emails. And when she does that, then maybe we'll look at it in a different light. But until then, I mean, this is just a continuation of how the Clinton campaign thinks. She thinks that we're deplorable. She thinks that we're desperate. She thinks that Bernie supporters are basement dwellers. Waiting for more WikiLeaks.
Leslie,
we'll see what she really thinks.
I mean, that's a fair question, because she has said that she is all about religious tolerance. And here is her own very high up campaign lieutenant, Jennifer Palmieri, saying in writing something very different. So, I mean, that's a fair question. Does she fire her? Does she come out and condemn her? If she is tolerant of all religions, she's got to do something, right?
Well, a couple of things here. First of all, do we know 100% that the WikiLeaks dumps, every single email, have any of them been edited? Is this in fact true? One. Two.
We haven't seen that in the past, and no one's denied it. Then maybe it's up to her to deny that these emails are real and come out and say they're fake. Nobody in the Clinton campaign has done that. You know, so many of them coming from John Podesta, he has not said they're fake.
Well, with regard to this email and asking if she should apologize, looking at Donald Trump, what he apologized for was a tape about him specifically saying
that's not what we're not talking about him in this segment. I mean, he was
what I'm saying is that
totally
Hillary did not write this email. Hillary did not write this email. So why are we asking her to apologize?
No, I'm asking if she needs to fire the person on the staff that wrote that if it goes against what she believes in.
Well, I think she definitely should say something and should take some action.
Okay.
I don't know if it's termination. I'd like to see the full context of all the emails. And I think that Hillary has proven, because she doesn't want to ban against one religion, et cetera, that she is somebody who is about tolerance when you look at the policies that she's proposed.
We got to go. I wish we had more time. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate your time. The FBI now leading the investigation into a deadly plane crash in Connecticut.
Well, terrorism is a criminal act, and there's a lot of criminal investigators on scene. So, as I said, nothing has been ruled out, including an accident. So, we're reviewing every and all possibility.
So, what was behind this? We're live at the scene, and we're going to speak with a former FAA official about it.
Shepard Smith on the Fox News desk. Donald Trump set to speak just minutes from now after upping the ante in his war of words with the House Speaker Paul Ryan. We'll bring you Trump live in the battleground state of Florida, where today he slammed Speaker Ryan yet again. Plus, our Fox News decision team has just made a change in our electoral college map from a Republican-leaning state to a toss-up. We'll show you where that's happened and some startling new polls. Top of the hour, new for you on Shepard Smith reporting.
We have a Fox News alert for you right now on a deadly plane crash in Connecticut. The NTSB saying early indications are the plane was intentionally crashed. They are turning over the investigation to the FBI. Rob Schmidt is live at East Hartford, Connecticut with more on this. Rob.
Yeah,
Melissa, the NTSB saying this was intentional. Now to figure out why, what the motive could have been if it was intentional, the FBI is stepping in. The big question is, was this possibly a failed terror plot against Pratt & Whitney, which is a company that makes airline engines. It's a defense contractor. They make jet engines for the U.S. military. So that is a big part of the question and a lot of the reason for so much scrutiny on this, and a big part of why the FBI is here as well. But right now, the newest update, a local newspaper source here in town is now saying that the pilot and the student pilot got into some kind of an argument, and perhaps the student pilot told the pilot he didn't want to fly the plane. That would fly in the face of any theory that this was any kind of terror related. Now, that twin-engine plane went down yesterday afternoon here in East Hartford on Main Street in Connecticut. Missed that Pratt & Whitney headquarters by only about 200 yards, slamming into a power pole, a massive fire. 2 people on board. The pilot critically burned in the hospital. The student pilot, Ferris Freytech, was killed. Nobody else was hurt in that crash. The pilot has told investigators from his hospital bed that the plane was crashed intentionally, but no word on whether this was in fact any kind of terrorism, but nothing is being ruled out at this point. According to reports, the full name of that student pilot who was killed is Faris Majdi Mohammed Freytech, 28 years old, from the nation of Jordan in the Middle East, licensed to fly small planes. But again, the question is as you have the pilot sitting in the hospital saying it was intentionally brought down, and people start to think, okay, we have a defense contractor right here. Were they trying to slam the plane into that? Was that what the student pilot was thinking? But at the same time, you have another report saying that they were arguing, and that student pilot in question says, I didn't want to fly the plane. So really a lot of questions here, and not a lot of information coming out from a press conference we just had. We'll send it back to you, Melissa.
What a confusing story. All right, thank you so much for this. For more on this, we're going to go to Scott Brenner. He's a former FAA official who is now with Rosemont Strategies. A lot of conflicting and confusing details we're hearing there. What do you think about what you just heard?
I mean, normally right after a crash, there are a lot of confusing details and conflicting stories. But in just talking to some folks who are involved in the investigation, my understanding is that we have a student pilot who did not want to be a pilot and was facing a lot of pressure from his family to continue to be a pilot. You know, he got his certification for the single engine, went back to his family, says, I don't want to be a pilot, moved into a language school. His family says, no, you're going to grow up and you're going to be a pilot. He takes the next level, gets the training, and gets into a tussle with the instructor and says, I don't want to be a pilot. I don't want to fly this airplane. There's some conflict in the cockpit, and it appears he intentionally crashed the airplane.
So bizarre. I mean, if we can look at a picture right now of the type of plane we're talking about a Piper 34 here. It is obviously not a large aircraft at all. I mean, I haven't heard of people a lot of times being heavily pressured by their families to become pilots. I mean, that detail in and of itself seems really strange, right?
It was very odd when I heard about it this morning, you know, because all the other things that kind of surrounding it kind of makes you automatically lead. There's probably something more to it. But again, this is a Jordanian kid over here on a visa. He's going through pilot school, which is very expensive. Shifts out of pilot school to go to a language school. So obviously that probably raised some questions. He's back in pilot school to go to the next level of piloting. And the instructor says this kid crashed a plane intentionally. They got into a fight in the cockpit and did something to the aircraft and basically made it stall right in the middle of the air, and it crashed.
And left to go to a language school. You heard anything else? I mean, what does that mean? What kind of a language school? What did he want to do with that? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea, other than he didn't want to be a pilot, wanted to go do something else, and it appears his family forced him back into being a pilot.
I mean, is there anything wrong with somebody who's here on a visa and they're from Jordan and they are learning to fly a plane like this? I mean, was there any screening along the way to see how stable or willing this person was? I mean, if he didn't even want to do it, it seems like we weren't really screening this type of thing that normally I would think, raise red flags.
Right. No, I mean, it's a good point. But, right after 9/11, there was a lot of research and a lot of look backs on all those pilots, the terrorists who came to the U.S. to become pilots. So we have a lot of screening going on now. But a lot of times we do have the best pilot training schools in the world. So we do have a lot of foreign nationals coming here to learn how to become pilots.
All right, Scott Brenner, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we want to bring you the latest from our segment we had earlier on the Clinton campaign, responding to some of the WikiLeaks releases of emails and communications of their director, Jennifer Palmieri, who, as you remember, was mocking Catholics and evangelicals. Palmieri telling reporters a short time ago that she's Catholic, and while she doesn't recognize the specific emails, she turned the conversation to Russia like so many have. The Russians orchestrated the hack, she says. She also went on to slam the timing and the manner of the leaks, saying that they were not commenting further. Another turn in that story. All right. So it is being called a miracle moment. Former NFL star Tim Tebow, credited with helping resuscitate a man who had a seizure at a game. The amazing story coming up next. Plus, crews trying to take down a nearly century-old bridge running into some trouble. Wow. We'll show you the video of that epic fail. Baseball minor leaguer Tim Tebow rushing over to help a fan who was having a seizure after a game. Trace Gallagher is live with the story. This is really something, Trace.
Yeah, Melissa, this was Tim Tebow's first game in the Arizona Fall League for the Scottsdale Scorpions. That's a team in the New York Mets organization. Tebow didn't play great on the field, but he was part of what some fans are calling a miracle moment. After the game, Tebow stayed to do interviews and sign autographs when he was then notified that a fan had dropped to the ground, was convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Suddenly, the man's violent shaking stopped and he went limp. So Tim Tebow walked over, put his hand on the man's leg and started praying. Those who were there, including media outlets, say within a few seconds, the man, 30-year-old Brandon Berry, jolted up, gasped for air, and started coughing. Tebow continued talking to the fan and even waited for paramedics to arrive. Brandon Berry told the Associated Press, quoting, "I just remember being very disoriented. Then I saw Tim." Tim Tebow later said, quoting, "Baseball's awesome. It's something I'm so excited I get a chance to pursue. But what's important is lives matter. People matter. This young man, he mattered. So my first instinct was to just be with him, put my hands on him and pray for him. We get caught up in so many different things that we're pursuing, and we forget about what matters most is the people around us." Tebow, who won the Heisman Trophy at the University of Florida and played a few years in the NFL, was famous for Tebowing, kneeling and praying after a touchdown or a big play. Tim Tebow didn't really have a lot of success in pro football, but a lot of athletes emulate him to this very day by Tebowing. And by the way, we should note the fan who collapsed is at home and he's doing well. That was Lindsey Vonn, by the way, Tebowing